Hey y'all, what's going on? This is Jackie, and today I am making a video. Y'all, this is the craziest stuff I have seen in a while. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about a man who died alone because the hospital gave him a fake name instead of using like John Doe. So basically, this guy, he was in Las Vegas. That's him, and that's his sister, and he just his sister said that he was known to wander off for a few days, like just go be wherever, okay? But he would come back home. Well, after a few days, he didn't return. He wasn't answering this call. And so she called around to the hospitals in Las Vegas and she was like, do you have a patient name? And she would give his name. Or do you have a John Doe or anything like that? And she was told no. Okay. So eventually she filed a missing police report and they put two and two together and said, oh, he's at this hospital in a coma because apparently he had passed out, fainted, whatever, and was laying on the ground for 8 hours. No one helped him. No one did anything. The only thing people did was rob him. They stole his wallet, they stole his oxygen machine, but no one helped him, right? So he laid out there in the sun, in the Las Vegas sun, for 8 hours until finally someone said, hey, that man hasn't moved. Okay. So he was in a coma, okay, for 10 days. And his sister's looking for him and she's calling the hospitals and this and that. And she had called this particular hospital, the hospital that he was at. She had called that hospital and they was like, oh no, we don't have any, um, unknown or unidentified patients. We don't have any John Does. Now, according to the hospital, they do not list unknown patients as John Does because they don't want to like have issues with the record. So like if you have John Doe and then you have another John Doe, you don't want the medical records to get mixed up. Okay, we're gonna deal with that later, because we're gonna deal with that later. Okay, so what they do is they give like a regular first name, but then the last name is Doe. So instead of having John Doe, they go. They might have Jackie Doe, and then they might have Sally Doe or Melissa Doe. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, they finally figured it out once the sister filed a missing police report, and I'm gonna explain to you how they put two and two together. So yeah, so that was basically it. He died alone. He was in a coma. His family was looking for him. His sister was looking for him. They couldn't find him. The ball was dropped because like this didn't even make sense. Like, but anyway, so basically the hospital they need to get it together. I don't know if there will be any consequences. I think what they're probably going to do is just do training for the entire hospital. But these comments were wild, y'all. I was reading the comments. I had such a headache because I was like, I don't even understand how this happened. You know what I'm saying? Like everywhere along this line, this man was failed. The first was he was laying out in the sun for 8 hours and no one helped him. And it could be because Las Vegas is a tourist town. Las Vegas could be, I guess, I assume, is a transient town where you have a lot of people in and out, people who may not, have permanent residence, things like that. And they just assume he was another homeless man. But I'm like, what homeless person do you see with oxygen tank? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we're not even gonna talk about that. And then when they did get him to the hospital, the way that the hospital labeled him as how they label their unknown or unidentified patients, instead of using John Doe, using like a fake name. They gave a fake name. You know what I'm saying? That's like putting John Smith. I mean, like that's not a fake name, that's a real name, you know? So some places now here at the hospital, we use John Doe. But I was reading the comments and some people was like, no, we don't use John Doe. We'll use like a weird first name, or like a weird first name, or will, and then the last name will be unknown. Okay. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I thought everybody used John Doe, but apparently not. So the big question was, well, if if the hospital uses a real first name, but the last name is Doe, and you have someone calling saying, "Hi, do you have a patient named John Doe?" You know, like, well, his first use his real name, or his, or like, you know, or a John Doe. Like, why would you look? You know what I'm saying? Well, no, we don't have a John Doe. Like, okay, what, you know what I'm saying? Because I would assume, me personally, I would assume that an unidentified patient is called a John Doe, because here at the hospital here, that's what we use, right? But apparently, you know, I learned about it. Every hospital doesn't do that. But if you answer the phone and someone is saying, I'm looking for a missing person, you know what I'm saying, or you know, I'm just checking around, wouldn't you look? Okay, like, okay, no, we don't have a John Doe. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so do you have an unidentified person? You know, white male, whatever, whatever. You know, I, I don't even understand this. So basically, they kept calling. The sister kept calling the hospital, and they was like, no, and no. They had her, yeah. So the sister was asking the hospital for those two names. So she was asking for his real name and John Doe. But she later learned that the hospital gave her brother a real name, Nolan Doe. So that's the name they gave him. And it said it's the hospital's policy to name the unidentified for records purposes, a hospital person told the news. So basically, he was in a coma, I guess, for 10 days. He was there. So he was in the hospital because he had passed out. Um, and it says Allen would die alone in the hospital, even though his sister did everything in her power to find him. In the end, it was the coroner who positively identified Allen from a picture a family member brought into the office nearly 2 weeks after he left home. It says she also filed a missing police report with Las Vegas Metro Police. At the time, police had no record of Allen because he had no ID, because his wallet and everything was stolen. The report was filed July 21st. I'm sorry, July 26th, one day before his death. So, but anyway, the sister was giving a runaround talking about, oh, we can't give you no information because it's HIPAA and everything. HIPAA ain't got nothing to do with none of this. But anyway, but I think once the sister filed the police report, they put it together. And the reason why I say that's what I think happened is because um, me, from working in the ICU, we had John Doe's. Okay, I made a video talking about what to do when you have a John Doe, Jane Doe patient. But 9 times out of 10, if a patient come in, you can identify them. They're going to be a John Doe, and you know, you might use like John Doe, a middle initial, date of birth is like 1900, you know, but the sex would be, you know, if it's a John Doe, it's a male, and then white, you know, race or whatever. But the date of birth, you don't know the date of birth. Or sometimes they might kind of guess, you know, like 1960, if they trying to, you know, how old he kind of look. Um, and they do the same thing with a Jane Doe. And the case manager will be on, you know, get on the case, because that's what case managers do. They arrange for like aftercare. So like if a person needs to go to a SNF or a rehab or home with hospice, things like that, that's case management. So case management will be involved. More than likely, administration might be involved, because they had to get the police involved, because we don't know who this patient is. That man could have needed, because they don't know this man. They don't know this man. They don't know his medical history. They don't know if he's allergic to anything, so they might try to give him something, and they don't know, you know, if he's allergic. What if he's allergic to something they, you know, can give him? A lot of people are allergic to penicillin and things like that. They don't know this man, so they're gonna call the police, and the police gonna come, probably do his fingerprints. That's why I'm pretty sure they did run his fingerprints, see if he's in the system. So there were people involved. I don't understand the front desk that when whoever was like, oh no, we ain't got no John Doe, because they had him as Nolan Doe. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's wrong? But anyway, so but I think once she filed that police report, two and two was put together, and that's how they figured it out, because that's what's gonna happen. Okay, the police is gonna get involved because you got to notify next of kin. It's just a lot to go on. 9 times out of 10, let me tell you, if you have someone, if you have family missing, and you call the hospitals, call the ER, and if you say, hey, did you have a black female, like call the hospital, say, did you have a black female, like say, your mama missing, you have a black female around the age of whoever come in the last 3 days, a Jane Doe, unidentified black female around the age or whatever, come in the last, 72 hours. Or, and, you can call, I will call the ER, or I will call ICU. Like if you feel like you're getting a runaround, call ICU, see if they got a patient up there. You know what I'm saying? But this hospital, they just dropped the ball. And then their excuse with here, let me scroll back up. And while we can't specifically comment on this case due to HIPAA, I can share our general policy. Per our policy, the hospital does not provide random callers information on unidentified patients because of HIPAA. That don't even make sense. She just wanted to know if somebody was there. Okay. Do you have this name? No, we don't have this name. Do you have a John Doe? Do you have an unidentified? No, no, we don't have a John Doe. We have a Nolan Doe. That's what. But anyway, my blood pressure. So it says, per our policy, the hospital identifies anonymous patients with the last name of Doe. However, assign different first names to prevent the merging of medical records. So that doesn't make sense either, because your medical record, everyone has a different medical record number. Do you understand? Like, how can they merge together? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because how can your medical record be merged together? My name is Jackie. You mean to tell me my name is Jackie W? You mean to tell me there's no other? They ain't never had another patient with that same name? Of course they have. Of course they had two patients with the same name, because like we do the same name alert. Matter of fact, I'm trying to think if we had two Not that I think about it. I'm trying to think that we have two John Does at the same time. Or maybe I think, because I'm soon as I said that, because anytime you have a patient with the same last name, not even the same first and last, but the same last name, especially on one unit, you always do a name alert so that everybody makes sure you get the right chart, things like that. But I want to say we had I want to say there was a John Doe. Oh my goodness. Did we have a John Doe over there? I want to say we had two John Does one time. We might have had two John Does one time. But anyway, you do a name alert. Okay. That's when you have them on. You have two people with the same last name on the unit at the same time. But a John Doe, you can a John Doe, like I said, you can tell the difference between, you can put a different last name, I mean a different middle initial. They have, like I said, the date of birth, because 9 times out of 10 they try to do the birth about how old they think the person is. So if they think the person is 60 something years old, they might put John Doe 1960, something like that. You know what I'm saying? But your medical record is different. I don't understand how they can merge. Because what are the chances that you do have a lot of John Does? Now, having said that, Las Vegas does have a lot of tourists, in Las Vegas seem to me might be a little bit transient. So I can kind of sort of understand that. But still, they had to have some kind of way to differentiate, to differentiate between the John Does and the Jane Does. You know what I'm saying? Giving them a first, but it still doesn't change the fact that if a person calls and says, I'm looking for, do you have a John Doe? 9 times out of 10, if you work in a hospital, when somebody says a John Doe or a Jane Doe, that means an unidentified person. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like someone who came in, you cannot identify them. You don't know who they are, and they can't tell you who they are because something has happened and they can't tell you who they are. That's why I said check the ER or you check the ICU, because 9 times out of 10 they're gonna be there. Ain't no John Doe on the med surge floor. They're either gonna be in the ICU in the coma, just like her brother was. He was in a coma, or they're gonna be in the ER. That's why I said call those two places. Like don't. But anyway, it still doesn't change the fact that someone was calling looking for a person, and y'all deal with, it's a hospital. You can possibly have a John Doe in the hospital. Like I don't even understand that. So more than likely they probably gonna do a whole top to bottom training for everybody. It's probably gonna be one day continue educations. And then another thing they could have did is, if there are patients who are unidentified, they need to have one person handle that. So meaning, if people call, saying, hey, I'm looking for my family member. Do you have any patients? A woman that came in unidentified, blah blah blah. You know, it needs to be. It could be standard that you automatically transfer them to the ER, because the ER would know. You know what I'm saying? You would know if you had look. Now you might not have been working that day, but somebody was there. And also you can look in the ADT book. The ADT book is the admission discharge transfer book. You can look in there. Did we have a John Doe come in here? Because they're gonna come through the ER first. You know what I'm saying? Did we have a John Doe? Did we have a Jane Doe come in here that kind of matched that description? If so, where did we send them? You understand what I'm saying? So I think this hospital is probably gonna have to do a top to bottom training. There's probably gonna be one day yearly, continue educations, and then if they don't do that, well, they probably still need to do that. They also probably need to um, assign it to someone. If they don't assign it to the ER, they can assign it to case management. I don't know. This just like just everyone just failed this man. Everyone, from him collapsing and people walking past for 8 hours, him laying out in the sun for 8 hours. They're talking about his body temperature was 106 when the EMT finally got to him. It was crazy. And the comments were just disbelief. A lot of people were commenting about how, like, how can you just leave somebody just laying there on the ground for 8 hours, But one, like, I'm gonna say this. I heard that Las Vegas hospitals are not good. Okay. I I was talking to this lady. You know how when you're a secretary, you have families call and they want to check on a family members, and you have some family members that are just, they're never happy. They're never happy with the care that their family members getting. They're always accusing of trying to kill their family. Like, your mama is in the room. Matter of fact, your mama stay on the light. You know what I'm saying? She always on the light. But you got family that just, because they don't had a bad experience, and so they're a certain way. But I had this lady, she was telling me, and she was like, yes, and my mother was in Vegas, and it was the worst, and this, and when she was telling me this, I was like, yeah, I'm like, but I'm like, yeah. But then she was telling me like what was going. I was like, what? Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, what happened? Now this was like 2019, 20, what is it, 2018, 2019. She was telling me this a few years ago. I was like, is that right? Yeah. It was about, yeah. So 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. And I was like, when she was telling me all the stuff that was going on, she was like, oh my God, Las Vegas hospitals are the worst. So I was like, oh. So that's why I always remember about Las Vegas hospitals. And then I saw this, and I saw this in Las Vegas. And I was like, but I wonder what the turnover rate is in these hospitals. I wonder what the pay is. I'm gonna have to look and see and be nosy because, yeah. But it's Las Vegas, so like I said, it's a tourist town. So I will give them a little slack because um, the hospital might have their higher, a higher percentage of John Doe's, Jane Doe's, just because you got tourists, and then they get drunk and get hit upside the head and they laid out. You don't know who they are. You know what I'm saying? Or or you got a lot of transient. So I will give them slack on that, but I won't give them slack on if someone calls looking for a John Doe, Jane Doe, and you like, well, we ain't got no Jane Doe, knowing you got a Melissa Doe. Like stop. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's all I got for you. I this just everyone just failed this man. Everyone failed this man. But that's all I got for you. If you got any questions or comments, you can put them below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.